Little blurb in the now about how I try to stay anchored into the now. So, how about we call this Karine's Daily Anecdote? I today had the blessed opportunity to work and then have the afternoon off to enjoy the beautiful weather and go to the pool and bike to the pool. Bicycle, because I also have the opportunity living where I live and being blessed with all of the different opportunities that come with living here in Canada and Montreal, so on and so forth. I also have a motorcycle, but I chose to make the best of the day by bicycling to the pool, and I truly enjoyed myself. On the way there, it was motivating to know that there was a cool body of water waiting for me to jump into to feel refreshed. And I stayed at the pool for a few hours in very good company. And then on my way back, I was stoked to bike. And my friend even offered to give me a ride. But considering a bicycle is a little harder to put into a car than rollerblades, which I also truly enjoy doing, I opted to stick to my bicycling. And I, again, really enjoy bicycling. It's a really nice ride back from the pool to where I'm staying. And as I was pedaling, I realized that it was really windy and that I was going against the wind. And in different segments of my route, there are a few uphills. And so I started going through these waves of thought. And that's exactly what they were. And sometimes I would get caught in the thought, and sometimes the wave would just pass through me, and I'd be on to the other wave, or momentarily the ocean of thought would kind of still. And so at first it was, holy shit, is it going to take me longer to get back because the wind is blowing against me? Then with that train of thought came the next chain, which was, why is it so windy? Why is it more complicated? I'm already putting in this effort of utilizing my own energy to get from point A to point B, as opposed to borrowing energy from a vehicle or whatever. And then another thought popped into my head and was like, but this breeze is refreshing because it's also really sunny. I was biking back at about, like an hour ago. And the sun now is setting around, 8:39. So it was pretty warm. So the breeze was also, as much as it holding me back or making me slow down or whatever, a nice refreshing aid so that I didn't have to stop to pull out water or fan myself or who knows. And then after that came another thought, which came another thought. And every now and again, and more often than not now, because whether it's in this specific instance when I'm bicycling or when I'm rollerblading or when I'm doing yoga or when I'm swimming or when I'm with people or even here trying to share different anecdotes and affirmations and experiences to help inspire others, I still go through the waves. And it's that capacity to just settle into the now every now and again with the gaze of a child, I guess. Because that's where I feel happiest. And so every time I had a negative wave of thought come through me, I would let it roll and then catch the wave that made me happy, that thrilled me like a kid, without expectations per se, but just that made me feel alive and feel resonance in that moment. Like when you really vibrate, like when you're really excited and you start jumping up and down because you have so much energy that you can't contain it. Because you can do that at any point in time. Or you can choose to focus on what's holding you back. And then it just gets bigger and bigger. Then you convince yourself that it's not worth the effort. And then you stop. So to tie in all of that, I want to bridge onto something I read in Atomic Habits I believe the author is James Clear, but I could be a little off. But I'm like 99.9% sure. Either way, Atomic Habits is the name of the book. And so the premise of that book being that by modifying or making a habit of behavior 1% more functional at the end of the day, when applied to different behaviors, you're already tremendously more functional and closer to your goals or who you want to be or where you want to go. So, in one chapter of his book, he refers to this Goldilocks concept, which is true in behavioral analysis as well, a field that I was in for over 10 years. And so, if you want to integrate a new habit, if it's too challenging of a habit to integrate, you won't do it. It needs to have the just right fit. So, just right fit in this context being I've been playing this game of practicing different trains of thought and specifically jumping onto positive trains of thought and focusing on what makes me happy now. Maybe for you that's something else, and that's okay. But find your Goldilocks little fit where you're doing what feels just challenging enough. And for me today, the just challenging enough was spending a day in movement, but like really swimming, bicycling, doing my yoga, and walking my dogs and being as active as I could possibly be while being under the sun and enjoying the weather and enjoying people around me and not necessarily panicking about having to be somewhere at a specific time, just living in the now and biking against the wind. And I still made it to where I wanted to be. Very, very happy to have pushed on and have found in that now moment all of those different things, whether it was the wind refreshing me, whether it was the wind keeping me alive, whether it was the wind bringing me back to the now, or the smells that the wind was carrying. Because let's be honest, at 6, there are a lot of people that are making supper, and when you've biked and swam and done all that exercise, food, mighty yummy. So the wind carried me into a lot of inspiration to what I'm going to go prepare now. Another thing I truly enjoy doing. So if you stick around and tune in, maybe tomorrow or in another instance, you might also find me in the kitchen offering recipes and other forms of motivation, inspiration, and channeling into happiness now. So thanks so much for tuning in. Please feel free to leave messages, whether it's a private message or a comment. I'd love to hear anything you'd like to say. Have a wonderful now. Peace out.